What happened to Foghat?
Following the departure of all three musicians from Savoy Brown in 1971, the band's original lineup consisted of Dave Peverett, aka Lonesome Dave, on guitar and vocals, Tony Stevens on bass, and Roger Earl on drums. After leaving Black Cat Bones in December 1970, Rod Price, who plays slide and guitar, joined. In January 1971, the new lineup was given the name Foghat, a made-up word from a Scrabble-like game played by Peverett and his brother. The first album by the duo featured a cartoon illustration of a head sporting a fog hat on the back cover. Foghat relocated to the U.S. after signing a deal with Bearsville Records. Its debut album, Foghat, from 1972, was produced by Dave Edmunds and featured a cover of Willie Dixon's I Just Want to Make Love to You, which received considerable airplay, especially on FM stations. The album also included a remake of Savoy Brown's bluesy tribute to The Road Leaving Again, and Sarah Lee, a classic blues burner featuring Price's slide guitar solo. The band's second self-titled album went gold. It was also known as Rock and Roll for its cover photo of a rockin' bread roll. Energized from 1974 came out, followed by Rock and Roll Outlaws in 1974 and Fool for the City in 1975. In 1974, Stevens left the band due to its relentless touring schedule and was temporarily replaced by producer Nick Jameson for the recording of Fool for the City. During the next year, Jameson was replaced by Craig McGregor, and the group released Night Shift in 1976, and they later on released a live album in 1977 and Stone Blue in 1978. Each of those attained gold status in record sales. Fool for the City spawned the hit single Slow Ride, which reached number 20 in the US and number 14 in Canada, but the greatest sales figures were reached by Foghat Live, which went double platinum. More hits followed: Drivin' Wheel, I Just Want to Make Love to You from the live album, Stone Blue, and Third Time Lucky, First Time I Was a Fool. Price left the band in November 1980, unhappy with the group's still constant touring and the shift away from the hard boogie sound toward a more new wave influenced pop direction. By February 1981, after a month of auditions, he was replaced by Eric Cartwright. After 1978, Foghat's record sales began to slip because of the disco and new wave trends, and its last album for the Bearsville label, Zigzag Walk from 1983, only briefly touched the charts at number 192 on the Billboard 200. McGregor quit in 1982, and Jameson returned to play on In the Mood for Something Rude and Zigzag Walk, before being replaced by Kenny Aronson in 1983 and then Rob Alter from 1983 to 1984. McGregor later returned in 1984. The band then briefly disbanded in 1984 after Peverett left and returned to England. Earl, along with McGregor and Cartwright, reformed with a new singer-slash-guitarist, E.J. Bergson, and continued touring as Foghat into the early 1990s. McGregor, Cartwright's brother Brett Cartwright, and Jeff Howell alternated on bass during that period, while Phil Noodleman and Billy Davis took over for Burgesson. Dave Krieger joined on bass in 1991 to 1993. Peverett had returned to the U.S. by 1990 and formed his version of the band. Lonesome Dave's Foghat, which featured Brian Bassett, who used to play for Wild Cherry, Stephen Dees on bass, and Eddie Zunn on drums. Dees and Eddie had played with Hall & Oates among others. Former Molly Hatchet bassist Riff West replaced Dees in 1991, and Price made several guest appearances. In 1993, the original lineup reunited at the urging of producer Rick Rubin. Although Rubin ultimately proved to be unavailable to produce their comeback project, the group went ahead and released a studio album titled Return of the Boogeymen in 1994, and they later went on to release their Road Cases live album in 1998. Its final album of the decade, King Biscuit Flower Hour, taken from the syndicated radio show of the same name, was released in May 1999 and consisted of live recordings from 1974 and 1976. After being back together for 6 years, the original lineup once again ended after Price decided to retire from touring for good. Bissett, who had been playing with Molly Hatchet from Lonesome Dave's Foghat, was brought in on guitar. The 2000s saw the death of founding members Peverett and Price. Peverett died on February 7, 2000, at the age of 56 from complications from kidney cancer. Charlie Hunn, formerly of Humble Pie, Ted Nugent, and Victory, was brought in to replace him on lead vocals and guitar. This lineup of Earl, Stevens, Bissett, Hunn, and Steve Farrell on backing vocals and hand percussion recorded the album Family Jewels in 2003. Price died on March 22, 2005, aged 57, due to a fall resulting from a heart attack. Later that year, original bassist Stevens left the band and was replaced by former bassist McGregor. The 2010 version of Foghat consisted of Earl, McGregor, Hunn, and Bissett. Former Rainbow and Black Sabbath drummer Bobby Rondinelli had temporarily replaced Earl from a summer 2010 concert while Earl was recovering from surgery. At another Foghat concert that summer, after Earl had returned to the band, bassist Jeff Howell temporarily replaced an ill McGregor. Foghat's next album, Last Train Home, released on June 15, 2010, was the culmination of a dream shared by Earl and Peverett. It contained some of their favorite blues songs, 3 originals, Born for the Road, Last Train Home, and 495 Boogie, and 2 songs by special guest performer and longtime friend Eddie Kirkland, who was 86 years old at the time. He had played with Foghat as a guest in 1977 at Foghat's Tribute to the Blues show at New York City's Palladium, and remained a good friend of the band until he was killed in a car accident on February 27th of 2011. Also performing on Last Train Home were Hal on bass, Colin Earl on piano, and Lefty Lefkowitz on harmonica. The band released a DVD in December 2013 called Live in St. Pete. On November 10, 2015, Foghat announced that they would start work on a new studio album, completely fan-funded through Pledge Music. The album, titled Under the Influence, was released on June 24, 2016. The album went on to the Billboard charts and debuted at number 17 on Billboard's Hard Rock Albums, and peaked at number 40 on the Independent Albums chart. The band went on to release another live album called Live at the Belly Up in June 2017. On July 9, 2017, Eric Cartwright, who played lead guitar from 1981 to 1984, died at his home in Nashville, Tennessee from a heart attack at the age of 66. Longtime bassist McGregor was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2015. The cancer was first detected at an earlier stage in 2012, but McGregor was not informed until 2015. Following this incident, he became a proponent of a bill that would require physicians to communicate test results with patients promptly. Although still officially a member of Foghat, the effects of chemotherapy made him unavailable to play music. Former Pat Travers bassist Ronnie O'Gwen filled in for him on tours. McGregor died on February 9, 2018. Matt Baranti substituted on guitar for Brian Bissett for a gig at Palace Theater in Greensburg, Pennsylvania on February 11, 2017. The lineup of Earl, Bissett, Hunn, and O'Quinn would go on to record a live album in November 2019 called 8 Days on the Road. The album was released in July 2021. In January 2022, lead singer Charlie Hunn retired. Scott Holt, formerly a guitarist for Buddy Guy, became the new lead singer and guitarist. Holt had previously lent his vocals for Under the Influence and was lead vocalist in Foghat's side project or Earl and the Agitators. And that's what happened to Foghat. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and give me some facts about Foghat that I failed to mention in this video, and let me know who I should do next. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.